and their stupid no Sega bass fishing policy.
How was I supposed to know Sega bass fishing would light the entire place on fire?
Nope.
What was that?
How do I continue?
Oh, hey, what are you up to?
I'm thinking of making another 3D model.
What about our game? Were we supposed to be doing that? We're supposed to be suffering together.
I have been. This is just practice.
Sure.
What have you been doing this entire time?
Hey there, Bert here. Since you last saw me, a bit of progress has actually been made. A bit ago, I bought God Eater, a really fun hack and slash. My partner and I really like the combat in the game. We decided to make our first game based around it in Godot. To start off, I went ahead and set up a small scene to work in. I got everything I needed, like a player and a way to tell where they were pointing. Then I began to actually formulate my vision.
I began by making a base from my earlier script for the movement. I really didn't like how it was set up and how simplistic it was, making it much harder to implement more interesting features. In a rush, I tried to copy someone else's code, only for it to look pretty and not function. So, I went back and instead of trying to make it simple or pretty, I decided to make it solid. Really solid as I could. And it worked. If that were all I was trying to do, I think I would have felt so accomplished. But there was much more left to go. For the rotation, I originally wanted something very Mario 64 or Ocarina of Time-esque, where whichever way you're turning, it would basically be in a big oval. In theory, it didn't sound too hard. All you gotta do is make whenever the button was pressed, and then put a clamp on it so it doesn't turn too far. In practice, for some reason I couldn't get the clamp to work, and you couldn't just make it stop turning in a certain direction. And with that, I scrapped it. Another direction I thought was a good idea was actually also just how God Eater works during gameplay, where the rotation is based on wherever you're facing. This would also allow for a much easier separation of the camera from the player. Once again, it sounds easy to create in concept, but in practice, 2 weeks wasted away for a single line of code to fix all my problems. Essentially what this one line does is depending on wherever the player is facing, it interpolates linearly, aka it makes a smooth transition from position to position on the y-axis. The second part of the code returns the angle in the planes in radian between the positive z-axis and the positive x-axis. Using the decimal 20 gets how smooth or quick it should be from my understanding. With that, concludes our only nerdy segment for this video. Next, it was time for jumping, blah blah blah, gravity delta time delta, acceleration, velocity dot y. The nerd segment's already concluded, so no more big words and math. Let's get into the stabby stab. To explain what we're mainly taking away from God Eater, here we have Baby Boy.
Whoa!
And here we have a sledgehammer.
Wait, what?
You can't escape. I animate you. Anyway, I'll be explaining how I want the moveset to work. The core gameplay is a fast-paced action platformer, so to emphasize on that, I want to double jump and dash. The main combat is based around combos. To keep it simple, I want to have one triple hit on the ground and one in the air. To connect them, there will be a slam that launches the enemy into the air. Rinse and repeat until death. Thank you, Baby Boy, for the demonstration. Oops, I may have overdone it just a tad. I've shown you what I mean now. It's actually time to implement it. I thought adding in a jump would probably help with, air movements. So I added that in first. And a second jump that pushes you just that bit higher. The only thing was, I actually forgot to limit how many times you could jump. One small fix, and it works like a charm. For the attacks, I started off by creating 2 hitboxes, one for the frontal attacks and one for the slam, which was easy enough. And then for that little stick, I made it so it turns on and off depending on if you're clicking or not, making it much easier to see when the player is attacking. It took me 4 weeks, but I once again had done it. The movement, rotation, and attack for the character.
Wait a minute. So you just expect me to believe somehow in the span of 4 weeks, you went from not knowing how to make a game to finishing a character with no issues?
About that. Oh, baby boy, it's terrible. I said I would make a game dev channel, but I don't even know how to code.
Pew pew pew.
Well, by learning, of course.
Boop.
Learning what?
Bing bong.
Oh. So you're telling me, for almost 8 years.
The bird?
No, for almost 8 years. I've been learning how to code wrong.
Not really, but
I knew it.
hey Bert.
I knew it. I knew I should have given up. I'm too stupid.
Hold on.
What?
That's an evoker.
A what?
Thou art I and I am thou. Thou hast made the bond with Gladiolus. And us together, we will create the perfect society.
What in
Rid
heaven's
all
word is
enemies,
that?
all evil, and nothing
what-
can stop us.
You summoned a persona?
It was an accident, I swear.
Whatever you say. Where is he now?
Oh, he helps me code.
Such coding was not my intention.
So, how do you like the game so far?
That's a bit bland.
Bland? Of course it's bland. It's just supposed to be a prototype.
Well, that doesn't mean it has to be so simple.
I'm not the artist here.
El Bozo.
Well then, Mr. Artist, what have you been doing this entire time since you want to make fun of my work?
Well, I'm glad you asked. Here, take this.
Really? You made this for me?
No, it's for the game.
Oh, okay. Now that I actually have a model, I can import it to the game.
You're welcome.
Quiet, you! In all my 7 years of being a failed game developer, this is my first ever model made for my game.
Our game.
Why do you have to ruin perfect moments for me? Anyways, I guess I should set up the animations now. A little bit of studying here, and a bit of coding there. Ah! Now it should work like a charm. The walk looks good, and the run too. Standing jump works pretty alright. The running jump is a bit janky, but I'm sure everything will be just fine. And you know what? I'm feeling so good that I'll make a entire little area to properly test out the rest of the mechanics. Now, if I just push the left key... Uh-oh. Everything was going so well. You can't just tell me that there were problems from the start. Where do I even begin? The walking is definitely too slow for the run. As you might have saw, the player can stick onto the wall, but I don't know why, so it's not intended. The collider for the player when I imported the model just wouldn't stick to the floor properly, and now is always stuck in the floor. It doesn't mess with anything in particular, it's just really annoying. The gravity feels weirdly floaty, and the way I coded the controls, backwards. Backwards for the first test area, and I never realized it until later. I tried remaking my code so many times just to get it working properly, stripping it down, bloating it, stealing someone else's code. Nothing. It was still the same. But I'm sure I can fix it all later. The camera, which doesn't like how I did the rotations and would be constantly fighting against it, it somehow had gravity attached to it? That's why all the camera has been from one angle. I'm highly conflicted how I want the camera to work. Should I make it more in the vein of Super Mario 64 and Legend of Zelda? Or should I try and make it more akin to God Eater? And of course, not zoomed out as much. I've tried both, and not just having to try them like normal, I actually have to code it all in, which is a problem in and of itself. But I'm sure I can just put it off for now. I was going to show off the basic enemy attacks, but they were for some reason attached to the blocks and then stopped working entirely. Not to mention, I could barely even make the actual attacks function. When I switched the models, for some reason the sizes switched and wouldn't return to its original size. The hitbox won't enable, and the timer the air attacks was barely functional until recently. I'm sure I can fix all of this later, right? And to top it all off, I accidentally deleted the player, which caused the entire animation tree to break. All the animations I had to pair to it were deleted too. And now I generally have no idea why it won't work now. They were just working 2 seconds ago, and it's frustrating to try and iron out all the other bugs, and Kingswall is just sitting in its idle position. Even with all these problems, I'm sure future me has a plan in store, right? Wait a second. Isn't that everything I've worked on? I really haven't changed, have I?
Well, if you keep saying that, then yeah, you haven't.
You're already doing better.
Thanks, guys. I just wish I could move on already, you know?
Well, maybe if you worked in Unity again.
Nah, not this time. I'm gonna stick to this, even if it is a pain and I can't do it easily. I've got pride and drive and I'll never die.
The tower is shaking.
Uh-oh, we should probably go.
Wanna go play some Dagger off a platform?
Do I have a choice?
Nope.
Alright.
Ew, anime game. Anyways, goodbye.
今日から私メイトになりました。お母さん見てますか？
Hey there, Bert here. Again. It's been a while, hasn't it? Almost 4 months at this point. You know, burnout happened, and I kind of started working on my writing instead. Yeah, that's fun. Got a lot done, but now I'm actually working on the game again, so don't worry. I'm actually editing the video as we speak. Well, as I'm speaking. You get to hear this in real time. Yeah. Also, big thanks to Gil. He's really helping me with all this coding stuff. I don't give him enough credit for it, and honestly, yeah. If you want to see more of his content, I edit over in his channel, and you know, he's making a game right now. Well, yeah, if that weren't obvious. And it's pretty cool. You should go check it out. He also drew the pixel art for this end credit right here. If you want to hear the ending in full without me running my mouth over it, I'll be uploading the video later just by itself because I really like it. It's so much fun to work on. Now, if you excuse me, I want to keep listening to this song. The only reason why I'm actually talking over this is so, you know, you keep watching and listen to it with me. It's very catchy. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe. Oh, it's my ride! I can finally leave this place. Good grief. See y'all later.